Hi.
Hi.
What's the date today?
May 5th, Cinco de Mayo.
All right. And where are we?
We're in Lombard,
Okay, Illinois.
Illinois.
Not too far from where this one and that one was born.
Yes.
Now we're picking up on the childhood questions that we had, and we've already interviewed Mom on that part, and now we're here with, you want to introduce him?
My brother Dick, my oldest brother Dick, but he's only a couple of years older than me.
Uh-huh. And he was the one that we were talking about earlier, born in 1934. 1933. Okay. So we covered quite a bit of things, but right now we're going to be going back into what was the house like that you grew up in?
What was it like? You mean the address or?
What was it like?
It was
The-
a
the-
5129 West George Bungalow.
It was
a
nice
red
warm
bungalow.
5 rooms, 2 bedrooms,
okay.
and an attic.
Where
the
they had to
basement.
sleep.
Uh-huh. And tell me about the neighborhood that you grew up in.
A residential, nice residential neighborhood.
And was it a safe neighborhood that you grew
Very
up in
safe.
compared to
You
others
could walk
in your
around
thing?
there at 2 o'clock in the morning and never worry about a thing.
What kind of things did your family spend money on?
Food.
Food.
For the both of you?
That's about it.
And
we
like you
didn't.
said-
We didn't have a lot of extras. No,
We didn't have much extras.
But what you did have was you were cared for.
we
Oh,
were
yeah.
cared for.
We were loved and cared for.
Yes, and we had Daddy brought home ping pong paddle and a ball, and we placed it on the dining room table. Remember, we used to play on the dining room table. Dickie, of course, never did real good, but Bob and I were terrific.
Yeah. And who are we missing today?
My brother Bobby.
And where's he?
He right now is in Michigan. He's selling a home.
Okay. So we're going to be connecting back up with him
Yes.
and his wife as
Yes.
well. So did you kids get an allowance back in that day and age? Or
No.
were you just expected to do your share of the work around the home?
We did our share of work.
We did.
If we needed some money, you might get a nickel once in a while or a couple of pennies.
I used to take
was about
pop
it.
bottles back. 2 cents a pop bottle, nickel for a bigger one.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that was during the war mostly. And in order to get money, we would scavenge the alleys and look for empty bottles and take them to the store and get deposits.
And
So
we're
you get-
talking World War II at the time.
Oh, yes.
And
Yeah.
and one of the big events that had happened in life that you remember, what were some of the things you remember and recall, things on the news or actually probably on the radio at the time, of the various things going on around the world? Were you aware as kids of what was happening in the world?
I was aware of the war from the beginning to the end. I remember when it started, and it was in December. We were listening to the radio. It was something around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they broke into the broadcast and said that the Japanese had just bombed Pearl Harbor. It was awesome thought that that would happen. And then the next day, the president declared war on Japan.
But we didn't get to see the news right away like we do now. You know, we got to wait till the night.
There was no seeing news other than in the newsreel theater.
Yeah.
This is back in the days when because we talked earlier about listening to the radio in the evenings and listening to
Right.
programs
Yes.
such as The Shadow.
The shadow knows.
Well, there's a lot of different programs. Comedies, dramas, all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, and you guys enjoyed that. And Uncle Dick, where did you go to school at? In grade school.
I went to Faulkner,
You went to Faulkner as well.
grade school, and Foreman High School.
Okay.
Graduated from there.
Okay. And
Yep.
do you recall your grandparents?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
All my grandparents.
So on your mother's side, who were your mother's parents? Do you recall?
Yes, my
Grandma was
mother's
Mumsy.
mother was
Mumsy.
Her
Catherine.
my mother's mother was named Catherine Kisselberg.
Yeah.
She was married to
William, I believe.
William Kisselberg. They were divorced. Neither of them remarried. And we used to see our grandfather once in a while. He would come over to the house. He stayed at a place on Madison Avenue as the Kisselberg Funeral Home. And I went there one time with him. And he even took me about a block away from there to where his mother lived. And he introduced me to his mother.
Which is your great grandmother.
which would have been my great grandmother. The only time I ever saw her.
Do you recall her name? Was she?
I don't
Catherine
remember-
As well?
I don't
Or
remember
she
what
may
her-
have been Alice Overby.
Oh no, that was on my father's side.
Oh, okay, okay.
And my grandmother, Mumsy, her real name was Catherine. Well, her mother lived with them. And that was our grandma doctor.
That's right.
Grandma doctor.
And what do you both remember about Grandma Doctor?
She was smart and snippy and proper, and you obeyed her. Am I right or not?
Well, yeah.
They were a little stricter, I think.
She would occasionally take me downtown when I was a little kid. I went downtown on the Lincoln Avenue streetcar and go all the way downtown, and walked around downtown with her a couple of times.
That was something I was real shocked to learn in
And-
our interview before about taking the streetcars.
And
around.
one time when I was going downtown with her, I asked her when she was born and all that. She was born in 1850 something, and she was alive during the Civil War and
Amazing.
and when Abraham Lincoln was president,
Wow.
which was something.
That's
So
pretty
she would
incredible.
tell me about
And do you
that.
recall where that family heritage came from? Did they come over on the boat, or had they been in the United States a long
Grandma
time?
Doctor had been in the United States. She was born in the United States, but her parents were born, at least her father was born in France, Germany,
Okay.
which was in the town of Strasbourg,
Okay.
Alsace-Lorraine area.
Okay.
Their name was Sebastian.
Yes.
That was my
And
great-grandmother's maiden name, Sebastian.
yes, and she was also a Catherine with the C, as I looked up and found that in the family records.
Yes.
Yes. What a beautiful name.
Her mother, her daughter, Catherine, was spelled with a K.
Okay. And now back to your mom.
Yes.
What was her full name?
Marie Catherine
With a
Kisselberg,
C, yeah.
Before marriage.
Yes, of course.
Marie
'cause that's where
Catherine
we're
Hakes
at.
after marriage.
And did she have siblings?
She had a brother. His name was
Bertram.
Bertram.
And did she have a sister?
Mamie?
Mamie?
No,
Where,
no.
where does Mamie come in?
Aunt Mamie was
Grandma Doctor's sister.
No, Aunt Mamie was Grandma Doctor's daughter. This was Catherine was her Grandma Doctor's daughter.
Okay.
As Uncle John was Grandma Doctor's daughter. My grandmother, Mumsy, Catherine, Aunt Mamie, and Uncle John were siblings.
Okay. And did they all live in the community or near you all?
They all
from
lived
where-
together
Okay.
for all four of them.
Now, would that be in a what they call a flat or one
was a
level
flat.
on family on this level?
It was a flat. And on the north side, they lived at a street called Bell Avenue, which is about a block and a half from Western Avenue and a block from Lawrence Avenue.
And do you remember what they did for a living? Do you recall beyond the one that worked at the funeral home? It was or owned a funeral home. Was there? Do you remember anything of what your grandparents had done for a living?
My Mumsy was a clerk, secretary type thing, working for a mattress factory on the south side. I don't remember the name of the mattress factory. Her brother, Uncle John, was a laborer. He worked for the railroads. He worked for packing companies. He did various things like that. He was a strong guy. And Aunt Mamie worked at a grocery store in that same area.
Okay. And back in the time, now we're kind of leading through the 40s. What kind of inventions do you recall as being pretty amazing for the time? What has come along in your time and your frame of reference?
Well, the only thing that was amazing, and that was a little bit later in the late 40s, was television.
Television.
And who had the first TV? Did somebody in the family get a TV?
Well, we didn't have one for the longest time.
We used to
but,
go to Mumsy's to watch TV.
Oh,
Yeah.
And Mumsy was the one that was divorced?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was she kind of a real single kind of gal and a little independent?
She
Well,
was independent and she was pretty
different.
bossy and she was always right.
Well,
Dick, you know she was.
well, you wouldn't say she was always right. She was just firm.
Right.
Doesn't mean she's always right.
Well, she says she's right.
And how did Chicago begin changing over the years? Now, I was really surprised to learn back, and we had learned that you guys took the streetcar and you guys were taking the bus by yourselves and getting around on your own, even as children.
When we were children, 8 or 9 years old, I would take a bus on Diversey, go to Western Avenue, take a streetcar on Western Avenue, go over to their house, and help out. I'd help out with Mumsy getting groceries from the
And
store.
what would that cost you at the time to do that? And how did you have the money to?
It was
to do
about
that?
2 cents on the bus and streetcar.
Yeah,
That was half price actually.
yeah.
And you get a transfer. That's about 2 or 3 cents, whatever it was.
And
And
then
what-
as you guys started getting older, what were some of the fun things that you would do? What were some of the fun events that were happening? Getting a little bit older now, we're into, say, our teen years. What was happening? Where were you at high school then? Did you change high school?
Well, we all went separate ways.
Oh, you did. Okay.
I did my thing. Bobby did his. She did hers.
Okay, and what was your thing?
I would hang out with the guys.
And what was Bobby's thing?
I don't know what he was doing.
And what about her thing?
I don't know what she was doing.
He was always older and he went and did his stuff, and Bob and I just came along after, and Bob got a job, went in the Army.
Well, that was later.
Yeah,
That's
well-
after they graduated from high school
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But I started caddying then
Okay.
for a couple years, and then I brought my brother Bob out to the caddy also to. We used to do that.
What type of sporting events do you remember enjoying in the household? What did you guys watch? What did you listen to? What was important to you?
Sporting
Baseball.
events. When I was a kid, we used to hang out at the school, this schoolyard. A bunch of guys, and we played baseball in the morning. And then when it got about noon, over at the high school, they opened up the swimming pool inside. So we all would go over to the high school and swim in the pool. They opened it up for an hour for
Okay.
kids in the afternoon,
Yeah.
in the summertime.
Yeah.
So that was good, and you didn't wear bathing suits or anything. It was
Yeah.
all BA.
And do you recall anybody being fans of some of the national sporting?
Well, I was always a fan of the Cubs. In fact, I stayed home from school one time in 1945. I was 12 years old then, when the Cubs were in the World Series. I stayed home one time to listen to the World Series on the radio.
What year was that?
1945,
And who were they playing?
Detroit Tigers, and they lost in the 7-game series.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was your mother a fan of the events as well?
She was a big Cub fan way before even I was a Cub fan. Way before.
And she never missed a game. She
When
watched
she
them
was a
all.
young lady, she used to go out to the ballpark. So,
And what field would that be?
Wrigley Field, of course.
Yeah.
So
So you guys had a real joy about what's happening, and it really sounded like you had a very good upbringing.
well, we had a solid upbringing, yes.
Yeah.
We had a
So-
simple.
And a respect for
Simple,
adults, and
yeah.
a respect for your elders growing up.
Oh, yes.
Now, who taught you how to? Oh, wait a minute. I'm gonna scratch that. Just a minute.